Tucker Carlson thinks that if the United States were to get involved with Ukraine, it would not benefit us whatsoever, and that it would actually lead to the end of the US dollar being the world's strongest currency. Let's watch Tucker Carlson try to twist and turn and bob and weave to the argument that he's trying to make.
We don't ask that question enough. The United States certainly doesn't benefit. That's obvious to anyone who thinks about it for a second. It's so glaringly obvious, in fact, that the people pushing this war immediately denounce you as a traitor if you point that out. They're betraying our country's interests, but somehow you're the one who's disloyal. Ukraine's borders are sacred, our borders are racist. Shut up, Putin stooge. But wait a second, why is it disloyal to side with Russia, but loyal to side with Ukraine? They're both foreign countries that don't care anything about the United States. Kind of strange. It's all an absurd performance, but it's all they've got in the end. The fact is, Ukraine is strategically irrelevant to the United States. No rational person could defend a war with Russia over Ukraine. Nobody thinks a war like that would make America safer or stronger or more prosperous. Have you taken a look at our economy recently? Dangerous levels of inflation, a workforce in disarray, wildly chaotic swings in financial markets, in case you haven't noticed. Will joining a conflict in Eastern Europe fix any of that? Come on. Of course not. It'll make it worse. If the neocons aren't restrained, and soon, Americans are going to be a lot poorer. So why are they doing this? That's a complex question. Hubris, stupidity, the damaged psychological makeup of our leaders, massive lobbying campaigns by Ukrainian politicians and American defense contractors. All of those factors play a role in this. No tragedy has a single cause. But what's not at all complicated is who benefits from our conflict with Russia. China benefits. Period. The Chinese government is the only certain winner here. We can give you many examples to illustrate this, but consider the latest economic sanctions the White House has proposed against Russia. The Biden administration may use something called the Foreign Direct Product Rule to cut off Russia's supply of semiconductors made with American technology. This would, in the hopeful assessment of the Washington Post, quote, potentially deprive Russian citizens of some smartphones, tablets, and video game consoles. So depriving Russian citizens is good, we're told, because Russian citizens are bad. Okay. But what are the long-term effects on us? Russians are still going to have smartphones. They'll just get their components somewhere else, meaning from China. The Chinese have already pledged to help, and they have every incentive to make good on that promise. In other words, the Biden administration will have succeeded in continuing to drive our two main global rivals closer to a permanent alliance with one another. How does that help America? Well, it doesn't. Over time, it's dangerous, and not just militarily. The only reason the U.S. government can enforce international sanctions is because the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. Russia and China don't like this, obviously. So let's say they convinced other global powers that the U.S. government was abusing its monopoly on monetary control. If they do it to us, they might do it to you, they would say. And then other countries decided to drop the U.S. dollar in favor of a new currency. Where would that leave us? Well, suddenly the United States would no longer be able to run an economy based on debt. We would be impoverished immediately overnight. Has no one in Washington thought of this? Apparently not. Imposing tough new sanctions every few months feeds their moral vanity. It makes them feel like good people. What fools they are.
So two things here that we really need to break down. There's so much in that we could respond to, but just the two major things, right? That the United States will not benefit from helping Ukraine, and that it will lead to the end of the US dollar being the world's strongest currency. So first, Tucker Carlson seems to think that just letting Vladimir Putin and Russia be aggressive and invade a country for resources, he thinks that's a good precedent to set. He thinks that the United States and Europe stepping in to say, like, whoa, no, we're not going to allow that precedent to take hold. He thinks that won't benefit us. Tucker, man, I'm sorry. We spend billions of dollars on our military for this exact reason. And remember, Tucker, you're the guy who still thinks that, oh, Russia had nothing to do with Donald Trump. Like, the reality is, Vladimir Putin installed Donald Trump to undo our democracy. Like, allowing that country to take aggressive steps with their military to undo an ally of ours is incredibly wrong, and we will not stand for it. So we will absolutely benefit from helping Ukraine and from putting pressure on Russia to stop its military aggression. Now, Tucker also wants you to think that, oh man, this is going to lead to the end of the United States, and the US dollar isn't going to be nearly as strong as it once was, and we're all going to have to fend for food. And Tucker, dude, of course Russia and China don't want the US dollar to be the top currency in the world. Like, you think they need Joe Biden saying that they're going to sanction Russia? You think that is what's going to like spark them to be like, oh yeah, let's all get together and try to undermine the dollar? Like, dude, what world are you living in? They've been trying to do that for decades. Like, who do you think you are, Tucker? Like, you're so delusional and so wrong, and yet millions of people listen to you. So, yes, the United States, just to double down, right? Yes, the United States will benefit from helping our ally against an aggressive nation who wants to invade it. Yes. And no, it will not lead to the end of our currency. Sorry, Tuck. You're just completely wrong here, much like you are every single night that you get on air. So if you're Tucker's writers, like, do better, right? Because you guys are either like incredibly lazy, or you seriously just like are that anti-Biden and anti-Democrat, or possibly pro-Russia. I don't know what your whole thing is, that like you should not be working in the news game or the political analysis game, because you guys are doing a terrible job. So Tucker Carlson, wrong on all fronts here.